This is a little bit more with EKG, talking about these limb leads, and there's 12 of them and where they come from. So earlier we had already talked about this system here, about how you put a lead here on the right hand, a lead on the left foot, and a lead on the left arm, and how it's always recording from positive to negative, how the right hand is always negative, and how the left foot is always positive. And that right there would lead you to understand that if it goes from, this one must have a positive and a negative, the left arm. So this one goes from right negative to, from left positive to right negative. So from this to this. And this one, of course, lead 2 is going to go from the left leg to the right arm, and then lead 3 is the left leg to the the left arm. And then when you draw that out, you essentially just move this down, move this up, and move this in. So you end up with something that looks like this. Lead 1, lead 2, and lead 3. Now this isn't just useful, because it's numbers and whatever. This is actually telling you positions that you're taking on the heart. This one here is getting a read on the heart from this direction, on this side of the heart. This is getting a lead from this side. And this is going to show up a little bit later. You can see, I'll refer back to this. Now, when we're looking at the augmented, this was the bipolar leads. Now we're going to look at the augmented leads, which are unipolar. And for this one, it's essentially treating the heart as the negative, and everything is going towards the heart on this one. So this one, from the right down to the heart, from the left down to the heart, and from the floor up to the heart. And so when you draw that one out, it looks like this, positive and negative. The right down to the heart, and the left down to the heart, from the floor up to the heart. Now then what you do, and this is AV, augmented voltage, for all those, then you're going to take this one and put it on top of this one, and you get this, which is lots of directions, 1, 2, 3, left, right, floor. So that's one way of tracking this, or 2 ways of tracking this. There's also another way of tracking this. This is the 6 different leads on here. So the first lead is going to be placed down here. It's the 4th intercostal space. So if you find a little thing here, come over, it's like right there. That's where the first one's going to be placed. And then the next one is just on the other side, 4th intercostal space. And then you're going to come down, I can't remember exactly this other one, but anyway, essentially it goes here, here, and then here, and then here, and it goes all the way till the 6th one's all the way on the side, going straight out like this. So 1 and 2 are called the septal leads, okay? So they're right here in the front, and maybe you could think of, I don't really honestly know what that means at this point. I'm still figuring this stuff out myself. Haven't got to that point in the book yet. So 1 and 2 septal leads. Maybe you could think of I think deviated septum. That's something totally different. I don't even know. We won't worry about it for now. Next, the anterior leads. These ones are like right here. These are, the anterior part of the heart. This is the septum of the heart. Anyway, so the anterior leads 2 through 4. These are kind of further forward. That makes sense. And then you have the left precordial leads, which makes sense because over here on the left side. So left precordial leads. So septal in the front, anterior, and left precordial. Anterior septal 1 and 2, anterior 2, 3, 4, and precordial is 4, 5, and 6. So a little bit of overlap here. See that? Okay, so now you have to lay all these out. So you draw it in this thing that looks like this, okay? And when you draw it out like this, the first ones you put are the first type we did, these bipolar leads, limb leads. So 1, 2, 3. Got it. Check. Then you're going to put you put these unipolar augmented voltage leads. And think of it this way: start with the arm if you that you would hate to. Well, think of what would be the hardest thing. Starting with the easiest thing to draw with, the hardest thing to draw with. Okay, so first of all, your right arm. You draw the easiest with that. So that goes on top. Then your left arm would be a little harder to draw with. So you put that next. And then drawing with your foot would be really hard down here on the floor. So that's F. So right arm, left arm, foot. Maybe that's a way of remembering it. Then we're just going to get all these can't remember what they're called, but the other ones, and we just label them going down. So V1, V2, V3, V4, V5, V6. So you can look at this to find out what's happening on different parts of the heart. Okay? So one is looking at the lateral ventricle. So let's go over here and look at one. Okay. The left lateral ventricle. So here's lead 1 going from my left arm, taking a picture from my left arm to my right arm. Well, sure enough, there's my left side. The left lateral ventricle is the picture that you would take if you were to just shoot a shot across here. So left lateral ventricle makes total sense. 2 is the inferior wall. And what do you know? If you were to take a picture coming from the left foot up to the right arm, it would take a picture of the inferior wall of the heart. And the same thing with 3, just from the other direction, inferior wall of the heart. So, makes total sense. Don't even have to think about it, because you already know. Now, what about this AVR, augmented, unipolar? So for this one, this is going to be it says the right atrium. Well, let's see if that makes sense. So here's this picture. Sure enough, coming from the right side, right atrium. That's the picture we would take, is of the right atrium. Total sense. Next one is a picture of the left lateral ventricle, or the wall. So AVL. So let's look. Oh, yep, sure enough, picture coming down like this would be a picture of the left lateral ventricle on this side. Next, we have AVF is the inferior wall, and that makes total sense. There's the inferior wall of the heart. Okay, what about these other ones, the V1 through 6? So this is the pictures we take. The first one says V1 would be the septal leads. Remember we said this is just basically what we remembered earlier. V1, V2, both septal leads in the front, septal. Then we've got the anterior left ventricle. So this is V3 and V4. And sure enough, here's the left ventricle on the anterior side. So anterior left ventricle, that's a perfect shot of the anterior left ventricle for V3 and V4. And then V5 and V6 is the left lateral ventricle. Yep, off the left side. So we've got the anterior of the left ventricle and the left side of the left ventricle. V3, V4, V5, V6. Perfect. Makes total sense. So now when we look on here, we can group it. So we say, okay, so what if I want to look at the left lateral ventricle? Well, I know, okay, left lateral ventricle, there's a lot that takes a look at the left lateral ventricle. 1 is looking at the left lateral ventricle. See? Look at this shot right here. Right there on the left side, left lateral ventricle. And also AVL is on the left lateral ventricle. So where's AVL? It's over here. There it is, another shot at the left lateral ventricle. And also V5 and V6 are taking a look at the left lateral ventricle. So there it is, V5 and V6. Yep, V5 and V6 looking at the left lateral ventricle. So those are all telling me, what's going on with the left lateral ventricle. Next, what if I want to take a shot at the inferior wall? Well, the inferior wall, that'd be everything coming up. I'm just thinking off the top of my head, I remember that AVF would be looking at the inferior wall, and lead 2 and lead 3. Let's see if I'm right. Oh yeah, lead 2, lead 3, and AVF. Those are all the ones coming up. Well, what if I want to look at the left lateral ventricle? So, the anterior lateral ventricle. So that's the front. Well, I already know right away that what the shot that's coming from the front is going to be this V3, V4, I think it was. Yeah, let's see. Yep, V3, V4. That's a way to get the shot at the anterior left ventricle. And lastly, taking a look at the right atrium. Apparently all they use the right atrium for is to see if the electricity is going the right direction. So I mean, if the whole thing's inverted, like normally, you have the QP, QRST, and if that's all inverted, then the electricity is going the wrong direction. I don't know what that means yet or what that would indicate, but I'll figure it out soon.